Hello, everybody. I know it's been a while since I've posted, um, but I finally felt, called, I felt guided to come on here and just say thank you. Thank you for being here, even though it's so hard living in this world. It's so hard, especially living in your head, living with yourself every day. We go through life and we make mistakes. We say the wrong things. We do the wrong things. We have feelings that we don't want to feel. We have experiences that we don't want to experience, and we don't want anyone else to experience them. I've said this in my previous video, but recently it's been a while but recently-ish, I guess a couple months back, I found out that my oldest brother took his life. And I miss him a lot. I wish he didn't make that choice. I wish he could have fought more. But at the same time, I understand. I know how hard it is to be here. I used to struggle with being suicidal so much. I have attempted many times. Oops, hope you don't see that. Bit of hot Cheeto fuzz on my thing. Sorry, I'm getting distracted. But there's some traumatic things I went through, and that's the thing. We go through shit, things that we were never really prepared for, and even if we were, it's like you're not really ready. It's like you can never really face what it is. I mean, there's something in you that always gets kind of traumatized by it, or you lose a part of yourself because of it in some way, whether it's through a loss, whether it's through making a choice and you grow more prideful, or spiteful because of it. And I'm not saying this as like oh, like shame you, because this is life. We've been given no instructions, and even if we were, like, let's say your parents or your guardian, they told you about God and this is the right way to do things, this is not the right way, all of it really, it's just ideas, just concepts, just beliefs that have been kind of constructed here on earth. And not saying that I don't believe in a God, I do, but still all of it's just concepts, just ways we try to rationalize ways, we try to understand. You know, everything has a meaning, a label. You know, each word has a meaning and label. You know, especially if you're someone who is very emotional like me, it can be hard to face the uncomfortability, face the uncomfortability of your emotions every day. And even, you know, if you're, let's say, someone who's logical more so, even that can be stressful because your mind just goes like this all the time. You know, and you're just trying to pick apart things and you just can't really seem to break free from this wall, from this perspective that you're in. You know, I've been through so much shit. I've been through, you know, people that betrayed me, people that have taken advantage of me when I was little, you know, sexually. A bunch of people that were supposed to be my friends, family, you know, people who presented themselves as someone that I can trust. And I'll make a separate video for that because that's a whole deep story of my experience. But you know, these situations, they change you. And it's not fair, you know, the shit that we go through. We never wanted it, but yet, once it gets inflicted on us, the pain, the trauma, someone else's anger, it's like it's our responsibility now to figure out what to do with it. You know, and these experiences, you know, we end up creating like voices, we end up creating thoughts that just keep bullying us, that keep beating us down, so we don't make the same mistakes again, so we don't end up feeling hurt, so we don't end up in situations that we weren't even aware of, that were really dangerous or bad until we grew up. You know? There's so many ways that we unknowingly make our life hard. Not saying that every situation you've gone through, you're the one that put yourself through it. No. But now that most of us here are adults, you know, we don't know, but we unknowingly carry the pain, the trauma from our past, and we just keep, you know, beating ourselves up over the head with it, whether it's a recurring memory, whether it's, you know, our body, you know, putting us into a state of flight or fight mode. We're in a constant state of just panicking and stress and just like, oh, when is the next threat coming? And it's like, we don't want to do that. But for some of us, that's all we've ever known, you know, growing up through the trauma, through the shit. So if you are someone who's actively trying to live a life that's not in a constant state of fear, not in a constant state of feeling like you're a failure, of thinking that you're not good enough to live in this world, or not good enough just to experience happiness and peace, I I promise you that you can find it. But that takes a big part on you to really look at yourself, face everything that you have feared, especially the thoughts in your head, the feelings that you don't want to face. You know, you think when you face those that they'll take over you, and they do in a way, but sometimes you gotta push through those feelings, you gotta push through those thoughts, and you find the answer. Sometimes you gotta just let it take you. I'm not saying that you end up doing extreme things that can harm yourself or harm others. You know, and that can be on a physical, emotional, spiritual level. But I really just mean like letting your feelings take over, and you learn to sit with them and practice self-control, not wanting to grab something the first thing and instantly having a reaction to it, you know, making you harm yourself. You know, if you learn how to push through that, I guess that is another form of pushing through, but if you learn how to face every bit of yourself, you'll see the truth about yourself, and it's not what you've always thought yourself to be. You know, I've for a long time, and it's something I still struggle with. Sometimes it just comes back up, this belief in, and I'm sorry, you see that weird, I don't know how to fix that on the camera, and it's making my headboard look like it's like there's something trying to come out. But sorry. You know, I used to think that I was a bad kid growing up because I was someone that was always honest. I would just put the truth in your face. You know, and at first I was an asshole doing it, but growing up more, I learned how to do it more softer sometimes when it was needed. Because deep down, and even now, I've always wanted to connect with people, like really one-on-one, and that's why I'm here, you know, hoping that me coming to you like this, you know, I can hopefully connect with someone, or even if we're not talking one-on-one, you know, this reaches out to you and it impacts you in some way where you let yourself open up and you see a truth in yourself, or you see a lie in yourself that you've told yourself for a long time. But yeah, I've had this belief that I was a bad kid because, you know, I would see the trauma in my family, the toxicity, you know, friends and relationships and myself, and I was like just looking around, just wondering why is this happening? Why am I like this? Why are they like this? You know? And in the end, for myself, I always wanted, you know, to have people on my team where we just hash things out, you know? I'm not saying like I want relationships where we're just kumbaya, just, you know, we're able to not have arguments. That's unrealistic. But I really mean just having people where, you know, sure, we have our arguments. Maybe once in a blue moon we yell at each other. But at the end of the day, we're always willing to push past our fears, push past our ego, push past our pain and trauma, just so we can connect, keep this alive. You know, when you let your fears, your pride, your survival mode really kick in, You lose people because of your own doing. You self-sabotage. You fuck your own life up. You know, you create a hole for yourself. You surround yourself with things, with people that you think are you, that you think it's your identity. You think you're worth this much. You know, you're worth constantly just overdosing and being around people who just take advantage of you. I mean, that's just one example. But if you're someone who's here, you're listening to this, thank you. Even just thank you for being alive. And you might be like, you don't know shit about me. You don't know the things I've done. We've all done messed up shit. We've all said some messed up stuff. You know, and I'm not saying this to like enable you in some way, like, you know, but it's up to you whether you want to change, whether you believe that you can change. You know, and the belief is always by making that choice. In the end, it's a choice of whether you really want to or not, even if deep down you don't want to. You still find a way to push through. So, thank you for being here. Thank you for still trying to show up for yourself every day, even if it's something small, like finally brushing your teeth after weeks not doing it. That's a start, you know, or just being alive rather than trying to take that one way out, or, you know, actively just trying different ways. It could be verbally, spiritually, in the workplace, anywhere. Ways that you are trying to show up for yourself and do things differently. Thank you. Thank you. And this isn't just for me, this is for you. And the more things that you do for yourself, not from a selfish survival perspective of like, oh yeah, I need to have all the money in the world. It's not really about that. It's more about you really connecting to your soul. Peeling off, letting go of the layers, that trauma that you yourself have put onto you to create this bubble, to create this false image of just someone that you were never meant to be. And some of us may think like, well, you know, it's still the fucking world, you know, bad shit happens, so why should I let this go? And I'm not saying, this isn't me like saying like, oh, just completely forget being in survival mode and just live through love and light, because, you know, this world is shitty and we need to protect ourselves. But this is more so for the people that have an overactive nervous system, an overactive survival mode mindset, where you have more of your survival identity or your survival instincts more than who you are as a person. You need yourself more as a person than this survival instinct. You'll be like, well, you know, I'm in this place and I need to protect myself. I understand. But don't let that stop you from finding your way out. Don't let that stop you from trying to find ways that you can help yourself. You know, I was in situations that were just literally life draining my life. This is bothering me. But and I didn't really have an idea of what peace looked like. What it was like to just really have peace, really feel safe. You know, and I guess it's a good thing that we have movies and just hearing other people's life experiences, because, you know, you see in movies and stuff, like, them having a happy life, or just them saying something that is very meaningful and powerful, you know, and it's like, wow, what does it take for me to get there? You know, you gotta have that hunger, that crave, that rabid kind of crave that we have to kind of do whatever it takes to survive out here, through lying, stealing, lying to ourselves, fucking around, you know, betraying others, betraying ourselves. We need to reverse that. I'm not saying that it's an instant. Some moments it is, some moments it's not. But you need to have that hunger and crave to find who the fuck you really are. You know, and that journey, it's messy, it's scary, it's fucking boring, it's fun, it's confusing, it's so many things. But you learn to find little bits of yourself along the way. You know, even dark parts of yourself, and you learn how to mix it with the good parts of you, which creates a masterpiece, which is you, you know? And for those people who know they have been living life not right for themselves, for others, to others, this is your chance. You know, you always have this chance. Every moment of the day, every second, you always have a chance to do something different for yourself, to choose differently for yourself. Like my shirt. So, yeah, that's all I have to say. Again, thank you. Just thank you for being here. Knowing that you exist is just, you know, it's enough. It's enough. But if you really want to experience who you really are, what life can really be like when you don't live in this fear, when you don't live in this household, when you don't live in this fearful, hateful mindset, you know, life becomes really worth living. So, yeah, take care, and thank you again. Thank you for still choosing to be here, even though it's hard. Thank you.